Tonight, 2 people are hospitalized after federal agents opened fire during an ICE operation in Southern California today. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. We do begin tonight with that shooting that happened in Los Angeles today. Authorities say a U.S. Marshal and a suspect both suffered non-life-threatening injuries when a federal immigration agent fired shots. Fox 11's Nick Garcia has more tonight on what led up to the gunfire.
A U.S. Marshal caught in the line of fire in South L.A. Tuesday morning. The Department of Homeland Security confirming ICE officers shot a man they say is undocumented. The Marshal hit by a stray bullet in the hand. The shooting happening just down the street from Santee High School, which was placed on a brief lockdown. The incident concerning for the community.
I've worked in this community for the last 2-3 years, and to see this happening to our community, I mean, it's just absolutely upsetting.
DHS says it was conducting a targeted traffic stop of a man who they say previously escaped from custody, saying, quote, the illegal alien weaponized his vehicle and began ramming the law enforcement vehicle in an attempt to flee. Fearing for the safety of the public and law enforcement, our officers followed their training and fired defensive shots, end quote. The suspect and the marshal were rushed to nearby California Hospital Medical Center. Here you see activists appearing to break into the emergency room. The sequence of events laid out by DHS being questioned by the man's attorney.
This morning there was some DHS activity near his residence. Came out and recorded as he usually does. And for some reason during that process he was impacted by a bullet.
He confirmed the man is a TikToker named Richard who often films police activity.
What we do know is that Richard is a very mild-mannered man. He's been recognized by the community, by this city for his work. And in addition to that, a lot of police officers in this area know him.
Nick Garcia, Fox 11 News.
In the San Francisco Bay Area, the city of San Jose and Santa Clara County are now considering proposals to expand their resistance to increased ICE enforcement in the community. The County Board of Supervisors today unanimously approved a proposal to create so-called ICE-free zones. County and city leaders announced the coordinated policy legislation. They say if it's approved, the legislation will protect local facilities and public spaces from being commandeered for federal immigration enforcement operations.
This effort began with a simple but powerful idea that city property built and maintained by the people should only be used for city or county purposes. Our city facilities were built to serve our residents, not to be used as staging grounds for federal immigration operations.
The coordinated policy is set to be brought before the San Jose City Council's Rules and Open Government Committee tomorrow. In Oregon, city and state leaders are reiterating their opposition to the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland. A 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals yesterday ruled 2-1 to authorize that deployment. A federal judge in Oregon had temporarily blocked the move. The Justice Department says it will be asking the lower court to drop its restraining order. San Francisco has joined a coalition of elected officials urging the U.S. Supreme Court to stop the deployment of National Guard troops in U.S. cities. San Francisco City Attorney David Chu filed an amicus brief in the Supreme Court in support of the state of Illinois. An appeals court barred the deployment of troops to Illinois. The Trump administration is now appealing that order to the High Court. Chu says domestic law enforcement is not the military's job, adding that San Francisco is one of the safest cities in the country with a 70-year low in homicides. We turn now to the impact of the government shutdown, and today California Governor Gavin Newsom warned that those enrolled in the state's food stamps program could lose their benefits as soon as next week. As KTVU's Jesse Gary reports tonight, families are now scrambling to find other ways to put food on the table.
This is not an abstract policy debate, and if these benefits lapse, the ripple effects will be felt across grocery stores, families, children, and seniors.
Late Tuesday afternoon outside the San Mateo County Government Building, nonprofits and county officials sounding an alarm over what could be the end of SNAP payments beginning next month. The reason? The current federal budget impasse.
It's easy to feel like that is something that is happening far away in Washington, but of course that is having a tremendous impact on our neighbors right here at home.
Cynthia Bell Whittle is one of 35,000 San Mateo County residents who would be affected. Although too sick to attend this press conference, others spoke for her.
Now raising her grandkids on just $152 a month in SNAP benefits and Social Security, Cynthia struggles to afford food, energy bills, and basic needs.
Losing SNAP would mean periods of hunger and little hope for a better future. It could also mean nonprofits, such as Second Harvest, would get swamped as more people, either SNAP beneficiaries or those left without work due to the federal government shutdown, need help putting food on the table. District 1 Supervisor Jackie Spears says the county, through Measure K dollars, is providing $900,000 to 8 core relief agencies in the county to make sure people will still be fed.
We ask all of you to think about how you can be helpful. This is a call to action because we need your help.
Officials are asking individual donors and corporate giants to help 8 nonprofits in San Mateo County, including Second Harvest of Silicon Valley.
What I would propose is that our sisters up at Peninsula Healthcare District and our Silicon Valley community and other foundations can rally behind this, partner with us, and get these dollars out quickly so people don't fall through the cracks.
The deadline is November 1st, which is a week from Saturday. For a complete list of the 8 nonprofits in San Mateo County, go to our website, KTVU.com, and we will link you with those nonprofits. In Redwood City, Jesse Gary, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
The government shutdown is also putting several Head Start programs at risk. The early education program, which serves low-income families, is almost entirely funded by the federal government, but new grants are now on hold. Some centers have already missed payments on October 1st, and more than 130 others could lose funding by November 1st, potentially affecting over 65,000 children nationwide, including many across the West. In Southern California, a police officer struck and killed last night after stopping to help the victims of a traffic accident. Officer Lauren Craven had been with the La Mesa Police Department since February of last year. She was 25 years old. Investigators say around 10:30 last night, Craven stopped along Interstate 8 near San Diego to check on those crash victims when she was hit and killed by another car. The driver of one of the vehicles in that initial crash was also killed. The California Highway Patrol is investigating the circumstances of this crash. A Silicon Valley company says one of its weather balloons may have been responsible for striking a United Airlines flight midair. Last week, United Flight 1093 was heading from Denver to Los Angeles when an object crashed into the plane, cracking the cockpit windshield and injuring the pilot. That plane quickly dropped about 10,000 feet before making an emergency landing in Salt Lake City. Yesterday, Palo Alto-based Windborne Systems wrote in a blog post that the object was likely one of its weather balloons. Passengers on board were rattled by what happened, but they credited the pilot for staying composed.
The pilot came on over the intercom and said, unfortunately, we have some bad news. The aircraft has collided with an object. And I was looking out the window just thinking, like, we could go down at any time. So it was really scary.
Now, Windborne says it's working right now with the FAA on the investigation, and it's already rolled out some changes, hoping to prevent an event like this from happening again in the future. In Tempe, Arizona, a city bus went up in flames. A traffic camera recorded the fire last night. Authorities said the compressed natural gas tanks on that bus began venting as they were battling the fire, and that created a hazard. Crews eventually managed to safely put out those flames. Nobody on the bus, including the driver, were injured. The cause of the fire is under investigation tonight. Also in Arizona, a judge today sentenced a convicted sex offender to more than 300 years in prison. Mark Rodman was found guilty of 2 counts of molestation of a child and 15 counts of sexual conduct with a minor. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office says the 63-year-old was sentenced to 17 years for each molestation count and 20 years for each sexual conduct count. That totals 334 years behind bars. In Southern California, a father is facing charges tonight after his 2-year-old son died when he was swept away by floodwaters. 26-year-old Brandon Padilla Aguilera of Barstow was arrested on suspicion of vehicular manslaughter and child abuse likely to cause injury or death in relation to the death of his son, Xavier. The father and son were both caught in flash flooding last month. Authorities say the child's body was found the next day. Prosecutors have not released any more details on the circumstances here, and they say the investigation is ongoing. A new study has found an increasing number of young people in California are dealing with mental health issues. This report from Blue Shield of California and Children Now finds 94% of young people aged 14 to 25 say they have regular mental health challenges. Some of the key stressors include major societal concerns like housing affordability, gun violence, and climate change. Almost a third of respondents say they feel too embarrassed to seek professional help, and 2/3 of those who were polled say they're trying to remain optimistic. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a game-changing home run leaves Seattle Mariners fans devastated, and the Toronto Blue Jays headed to the World Series to take on the Dodgers. We'll show you how baseball fans across Southern California are gearing up for the Fall Classic. Also coming up tonight, the upcoming Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah is expected to take on a slightly different tone this year. Still ahead, the details released today from festival organizers.
And not just one, but 2 separate systems are heading towards the West Coast. I'll tell you where and when they will make an impact. That's all coming up with your West Coast Wrap forecast. Stay with us. You're watching KTVU.
Well, we now know who will be facing the LA Dodgers in the World Series after a dramatic home run shifted the momentum in Game 7 of the ALCS.
The 1-0 pitch. High fly ball. Left field. Arozarena watches it go.
It was quite the moment. The Toronto Blue Jays trailed the Seattle Mariners 3-1 in the 7th inning of last night's do-or-die game. With runners on, George Springer delivered a moment that will be forever etched in Blue Jays history. That clutch home run gave Toronto a 1-run lead, and Seattle was not able to claw back in this one. The victory last night sent the Blue Jays to the World Series for the first time in 32 years. And while it was a crushing blow for fans in Seattle, Dodgers fans are fired up and getting ready for an LA-Toronto matchup in the World Series. Fox 11's Mario Ramirez has more tonight from Inglewood.
The stage is officially set. The Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Dodgers in the World Series. The Fall Classic just a few days away. Let's take you back to that game that secured the Blue Jays spot in the World Series for the first time in more than 3 decades. George Springer launching a clutch 3-run homer in the 7th inning, and that gave Toronto the lead, and they won the game 4-3 after climbing their way out. The team now heads to the Fall Classic for the first time in over 3 decades, and Blue Jays manager John Schneider says they're excited, confident, and laser focused on bringing the franchise a long-awaited championship title.
To be leading the team that's going back to the World Series for the first time in 32 years, kind of hits me a little bit, and I couldn't be happier for every single guy on the team and in the clubhouse, not just the players but the staff too. So we're gonna enjoy tonight big time, you know, and realize how hard it is to get here, and then get back to work and get ready for the Dodgers.
The Dodgers have 5 World Series appearances in the last 9 years. Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, and Tyler Glasnow. They're all healthy, all dominant. In the NLCS, the Dodgers swept the Milwaukee Brewers and allowed just 4 runs in the entire series. And now the reigning champions are ready to fight again. Mookie Betts, who's won 3 championships with the Dodgers, reflecting on where the team is at right now.
But, you know, where we started versus where we finished, I mean, I think it's just shows me and kind of reassures me to just stay in the moment, just help the team, help the boys win in this inning, in this moment, and that's all you can control.
How do we feel about this matchup, the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, this Friday for the World Series?
I mean, I think it's in the bag.
Well, obviously I'm rooting for the Dodgers, but being on the road, anything can happen.
And we've been talking to fans from all over. These two here, Hiro and Donnie, are from Japan. How do you guys say, "Let's go Dodgers" in Japanese?
Ike Ike Dodgers.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. EK Dodgers! Let's go Dodgers. Looking forward to that game on Friday. In Inglewood, I'm Mario Ramirez.
Well, the upcoming Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah is expected to take on a different tone this year. After 47 years, organizers say the 2026 festival in January will be the last one in Park City. They say the event is moving to Boulder, Colorado for more space and for better alignment of the festival's ethos and values. This is also the first Sundance without its co-founder, actor Robert Redford, who died last month at the age of 89. A number of tributes to Redford are planned for the festival, including a screening of his first independent movie, 1969's Downhill Racer. Sundance runs from January 22nd to February 1st, and tickets for the event go on sale tomorrow. All right, let's talk about our weather across the West, and this is a live look at the Bay Bridge and the San Francisco skyline here in the Bay Area tonight. A beautiful night. It was a warm afternoon and nice warm weather for a lot of folks all across the West, but we are going to see a shift in the pattern here for the back half of the week. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez with that. Hey, Roberta.
Hi there, Alex. You were spot on. In the Bay Area, we were just taking a look at the Bay Bridge there, where the temperature dropped in Oakland from 74 degrees yesterday to right around 72 today. Not a big difference there, but then you go west over that Bay Bridge and San Francisco dropped a good 10 degrees down to about 68, and yesterday unseasonably mild at 78 degrees. High temperatures today, 81 degrees in San Jose, 84 in Fresno. How about low 80s in Las Vegas? And at the state capitol, 82 degrees. Pacific Northwest, Portland topped off at a gorgeous high temperature today of 63. They say gorgeous because the visibility was unlimited. Seattle, let's talk about your weather today. 61 degrees, a few degrees below average for this time of the year, with a few high cirrus clouds and advancement of an area of low pressure heading that way. There's the marine layer that made a huge impact on that San Francisco weather today at 68 degrees. Then we go ahead and jog on over to Phoenix, Arizona at 90 degrees, and you are about 4 degrees shy of your average high for this time of the year. And this is beautiful Los Angeles at 84 degrees, above the average high this time of the year, 78 degrees. But I'm looking at these altostratus clouds. Those clouds are all associated with this right here, right now. Not that. That is a major player. That's an area of low pressure, and we have so many storms stacked up all the way to the Aleutian Islands that it's making a huge impact. A long northwest period swell, and this is causing a beach hazard statement up and down the state of California and the San Francisco Bay Area. Some of these waves up to 17 feet, and at higher peaks up to 20 feet, dangerous rip currents and sneaker waves. So that's with that. Now let's talk about this. Look at this area of low pressure off the shore, bringing a little bit of light precipitation around the Point Conception area. There you have those clouds we just took a look at, and that's what's going to produce a slight chance of a little bit of light rain or a spotty shower in the San Francisco Bay Area, primarily to the south. But because of the unsettled air mass across the coastal areas of the state of California and into the inland areas, we have to put a chance of a thunderstorm just outside of the East Bay of the San Francisco area. Otherwise, high pressure contributing to a gorgeous day for Denver tomorrow at 71 degrees. A hit and miss scattered light rain shower from that system to the north in Seattle for your Wednesday, and otherwise good looking conditions, Alex, and Phoenix.
All right, looks great. Roberta, thank you. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, hear what happened when a black bear wandered into a Northern California zoo and was found visiting, you guessed it, the black bear habitat. Also coming up tonight, stuck at Starbucks, how a coffee run and a bathroom break ended with a call for the fire department in Utah. A major infrastructure project at LAX is set to open up next summer. The automated people mover that will link the airport terminals with public transit and a huge car rental center is now set to open in June of 2026. It's more than 3 years behind schedule. That $3 billion project has faced repeated delays, disagreements, and rising costs. Construction first began in 2019. Even though officials say it's 95% done, work has slowed down. And if it's not ready in time for the Olympics in LA, LAX officials say backup plans are ready. A wild visitor caused an eventful morning at a zoo in Northern California. Last Friday, staff at the Sequoia Park Zoo in Eureka were doing their daily inspection of the Redwood Skywalk when they saw a black bear inside the facility and immediately triggered emergency procedures. Zoo officials say the bear interacted with some of the resident animals, including some fellow black bears, before being safely taken back into the surrounding woods through a service gate. The salmon population on the Klamath River is reaching a major milestone in their recovery. Researchers are spotting salmon in the upper Klamath Lake in Oregon. That means they have successfully migrated for 300 miles from California to Oregon. This is a first in more than a century. It was achieved after 4 dams along the California-Oregon border were removed. The dam removal project cost $500 million and is considered the largest in U.S. history. Chinook salmon are seen as sacred for many indigenous tribes on the West Coast and in the Pacific Northwest. Well, a trip for coffee in Utah turned into a nightmare for one Washington woman. Fox's Carolina Hassett explains what happened to her during a trip to the bathroom.
Nice trip. Gone wrong.
We had to get her out of the bathroom with a saw.
Washington resident Alyssa Curran was visiting her daughter, who goes to BYU. They stopped at the Starbucks on their way back to the airport. However, panic set in when Curran went to use the restroom and couldn't get out.
It was stuck. I just kind of yelled. I was like, Callie, can you try and do the code? And that didn't work.
Curran says there appeared to be no keyhole from the outside of the restroom and that the code to get in wasn't working. A locksmith came to try to get her out, but after 45 minutes, she wanted the fire department to step in.
They're yelling at me like, stand away from the door, stand in the corner, because you can see from the video there's plenty of sparks. It was super loud.
Fire officials are stressing the importance of going into any public space with a phone.
Call 911. Call 911 and try and stay calm. We'll get there and we'll get you out as quick as we can.
Curran says having the phone helped her through the process.
And I asked my daughter to FaceTime with me so I could kind of see what was happening on the outside, and that really helped because the door was so thick you couldn't hear.
Curran says she wants to see changes made so this doesn't happen to someone else in an emergency.
If it was a kid in there, if I was diabetic and I was, needed some food, there was no way to get me food.
Porter says there are things parents should keep in mind.
It's good to just accompany our children into those types of places, into a public restroom and whatnot, make sure that they don't get disoriented or trapped.
We reached out to Starbucks to ask if any changes have been made since the incident. They told us they received our request and are looking into it.
Every single time I go into an area, I will look at the lock to see if there's a keyhole for somebody to be able to come out.
Now, Salt Lake City Fire could not go on camera with us, but they do recommend bringing your phone in the restroom with you, knocking really loudly to make your presence known if you're ever in this situation, and ask that companies have alternate options to get into the restrooms. In downtown Salt Lake City, Carolina Hassett, Fox 13 News.
All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. A quick reminder before we go here that you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering online by heading to westcoastwrap.com and stream our shows on your smart TV with the free Fox Local app. Have a great night.